So what we want to find is the factors of both of these numbers to find our GCF so we can factor it out. So I'm going to show you a way to organize your work. So I'm going to do a line down this way. If you did it the other way, that's fine. Just watch what I'm doing. Let's list out the factors of 7. It's just 1 and 7. And for 42, we have 1 and 7. I'm going to go ahead and refresh y'all on how to put that in the calculator. You go to y equals, you put in the number divided by x, hit second table, so 1 and 42. Oh, why did I put 7 there? 1 and 42, 2 and 21, 3 and 14, and 6 and 7. The next one's 7 and 6, so I know that's the same thing, so I don't have to repeat it. What is the GCF? What is the same factor that they both have? 7, so circle it. So 7 is part of our GCF. The next part, you want to look at your t's because they both have t's. They have 2 t's here, so you can write out 2 t's. We're going to expand out the variables. And then this one, we just have 1. So how many can I circle because they both have them? Just one of them. So circle one of the t's on both columns. So now we can write what the GCF is. Whatever I circled on both is my GCF. So I circled 7t. So that's my GCF. So to factor out, remember yesterday we did GCF, parentheses, and we want to look at how this is written. There's 2 of them and there's a plus between it. So that's how it's going to look, like that. So 7t is going to be outside. So what's on the inside is what's left on each column. So for this one, we have a 1 and a t. So we would write 1t, or the same thing would just be a t. So it'd be like 1t. That's the match. And then we look over here. What's the match to 7? 6. So it'd be plus 6. And there's no t's left that I can underline. So that's how we can factor. So it's in its fully factored form. To check your work, you would distribute, because remember we just undid distributive. So now we could redo the distributive just to show that it is correct. 7t times t. So just watch. You don't have to write it down. 7t times t is 7t squared, which is what this is. Then 7t times 6 is 42t. So that means we did it correctly. We're going to finish yesterday's notes now, so go ahead and put up your warm-up and get out yesterday's notes. Okay, remember how we pulled out a negative if it was first? Let's write ourselves a little note down here. When a negative is in the front, factor it out and change all the signs. When a negative is in the front, factor it out and change the sign. So what I mean by factor it out is you're going to pull it out and put it up front with the GCF. So that's just a rule. For some reason, we just have rules in math that we need to follow to make sure that we factor it correctly. So that's just one of those things that you got to do in the very beginning. So anytime I do that, I'm going to circle my negative and then kind of put an arrow down so I can show you what that means. Okay, I'll give you about 10 more seconds to make sure this is written down. Okay. This was one of the ones that we had to factor out the negative. So I'm just going to put a little arrow there just to show you. And the negative came out front. This was one of the first examples that we did yesterday. We factored it out, so we put it up front, and see how we change the signs here. If you don't have to factor out a negative, then you just keep your signs the same way as they were. So this one, we also did that. So if you want to put your arrow there, you can. Okay, this one we don't have a negative out front, so we're not factoring it. I'm going to show you with my little organization how to do the factoring. All right, let's go ahead and factor 72. So we know we start with 1 times 72. So go to your calculator, put in 72 divided by x. If anytime this doesn't work, then you need to clear out the memory on your calculator so you can try again. So 72 divided by x, go to your table. Let's put them all down. 2 times 36. 3 times 24, 4 times 18, 6 times 12, 8 times 9, and then we have 9 times 8. So we don't have to repeat that. Real quick, what I want you to notice is if this number, the second number, is on your list, then that's going to be your GCF. But let's go ahead and list them out so that you can, double check that. And maybe you didn't notice that at first, so you would have to list these out. So 1 times 18, 2 times 9, 3 times 6, and that's it. Okay, so what I saw earlier was this is our second number, our second term, so that means that's our GCF. So we start with 18, and then list out all your y's. So 72, y, 5. That means I have 5 y's. List out your 5 y's. And then the other one, we have 2 y's. So how many y's can I circle on each column? 2, yep. So that means y squared is part of my GCF. So GCF equals 18y squared. So that's what we're going to factor out front. So I'm going to put 18y squared, parentheses. So you look for the match. I'm going to look back at where my GCF was. What is matched with 18? 4. Because we want to get 72 whenever we distribute, so we got to find out 18 times what gives me 72. And I had already listed it out as 4. And then you also need y's because see how you only circled 2? So how many are left? 3, so it's y cubed. And then We look back, since we didn't factor out a negative, the sign is going to stay the same. So it's going to be minus. And then what is the factor that goes with 18, the one that I pulled out? 1. So I'm underlining it. And then close your parentheses. Because you don't have any more y's. I already pulled out all the 2 y's. All right, so what I want you to do is you picked up a worksheet at the door. I want y'all to go ahead and do the first 4 problems on the worksheet, and then we'll come back together and do 2 more examples. Let's look at number 3. I'm going to go ahead and draw my lines. So for 10, we would have 1 times 10, 2 times 5, and then we have 3 ends. For 9, we would have 1 times 9, 3 times 3. Okay, so this is where it kind of gets lost. I don't have a number in front of here, but what do I have that's invisible? 1. So go ahead and put that 1 there. What are the factors of 1? 1 times 1, that's it. Oh, I forgot to put my 2 ends down here. 1 end right here. So what's my GCF then? 1. And then how many ends can we circle on each column? Only 1. So my GCF is 1 end. Hopefully that helps you on that one. So we pull out the 1 end. Or you could just have an end. Do you really need a 1 end? Not really. It's fine. So what's left? You look at what is the match to 1? 10. And then how many ends do I have remaining that have not been circled? 2. So n squared. Carry down the same sign. So minus, what do I have left? 9n. And then the last term, what would that be? What's left? Plus 1. So all we did was factor 1 in out. See how it's the exact same numbers? 10 in, but it's squared now. Minus 9n plus 1. All we did was pull 1 out. That left just 1 left inside. Okay, let's go ahead and we are going to look at one more example on our notes. So turn your worksheet over so you're not distracted by it. Let's look at this. Okay, go ahead and write your... Let's do our numbers. If you need to, put it in. Write all your factors. Okay, check your factors with mine on 28. Then do it 8. I don't think we've done 8. Clear 8 divided by x. 1 times 8, 2 times 4. That's it. 36. We've done 36 before. We did it earlier. So 1 times 36, 2 times 18, 3 times 12, 4 times 9, and 6 times 6. Then we have 2 m's here, 1 m here, and no m's. So we need to find our GCF. Let's look and see. Can 8 go into all the numbers? Is 8 on all the list? No. What about 4? Yeah. And then they all don't have the m, so we can't do that. So GCF is 4. But look at the first number. See how it's a negative? I'm going to pull that out front. So it's going to be negative 4 out front. Then I got to change the sign of everything on the inside. So this was minus, so it's going to be plus. This was plus, it's going to be negative. So what is the match with 4? 4 times what gives me 28? 7. And I still have my m squared. So if you want to check yourself, just multiply. Negative 4 times 7. That's negative 28. M squared. And then our next one, it's no longer minus because we're changing all of our signs. So it's plus. Negative 4 times what gives me negative 8m? 2m. And then plus 36, well, it's going to be minus what matches with 4, 9. Close your parentheses. Okay? And then you could just check your work. All right, so we're not going to do this last example, so don't worry about that one. Now I want you to finish the worksheet, the back side now. So you'll have 8 completed.